Gavin, do you see any remote learning days for kids for the future, akin to a mix of face-to-face and virtual like we have in the corporate world? I think one day of remote working per week for kids would be beneficial.
Okay. I don't think that, personally. I don't think it's, as I said in the talk, 540 hours at home a month compared to 140 at school. I don't want that to be 547 per month and 133 at school. I think that school offers an amazing opportunity for socialization, understanding, how to operate in a community. Yes, it's been great to acknowledge the fact that they can work online and they can, actively take this on. And they did a great job, as I said in the talk. But I'd like them to be in school 5 days with us because, we're trained teachers. This is our passion. This is our drive. We know what we're doing. And I think that right now, when the children were away and we were in school, it was awful. It was just, actually it's really funny. One day, essential workers had to come to school. And one day school was closed and it was empty, there was no kids. And we're all working online, remotely teaching. And then there was one day when a father, he had to work, so he had to send his son in. And all the teachers went to be near him, like, oh, I need child interaction. Hello, let me teach you. So we missed the kids, when they weren't there, because that's what we live for, So yes, it was great, but no thanks. Let's keep it 5 days at school.
Look, as a parent who had her 7 and 9-year-old home for a few weeks, my hat is off to you. That was hard yakka. One last question.
Last question. This one's from Yin. Can you please elaborate on how you can meet each student's individual learning needs accordingly to their specific interests in a classroom setting? It's very ideal to tailor learn around students' interests like the Second World War, but how do you implement it when you have 20 students in a class with different interests?
Well, you can actually do it with 30 or 40 children in a class. And it goes back to what I talked about cultivating independence. You see, if you've got a class who are all working without you, so you're interrupting them to give them a lesson. Like I said with the kindergarten girl, do you mind? We're busy. Yesterday I was observing one of my stage 2 classes, 6 to 9-year-olds. I was sitting in the class watching the class take place just so I could talk to the teachers later about how the class was running. At 9:30 in the morning, every single child was engaged in pairs or groups or individually. No teacher was teaching, but everybody was learning. And so you want to get to that ultimately, because then you go over to little Tommy, who's interested in dinosaurs, and you give him a one-on-one for 20 minutes. You inspire him and you set him off. I always use the analogy of spinning plates. There's a room filled with spinning plates, and they're all spinning beautifully. You don't need to teach. You leave them alone. But one starts to wobble, you go over and you say, hey, and you just respin it. And you do that. And as soon as you install that independence and those essential skills in your school or your classroom, Montessori said, the true measure of a Montessori teacher is when you can't find them in the room. They're not at the front. They're behind the bookcase, teaching one-on-one, and the rest of the kids are all learning themselves. Sounds like a dream, but you can do it. You just have to work really hard on giving the children the chance to be able to show you that they're independent. Because when you do that, they will prove that they are independent, and they have a self-desire to learn, So, look, it does sound hard if you're a mainstream teacher, because you're at the front, 30 kids are all looking at you, and you're like, oh, how can I go and work with one kid when I've got 29 others? But if none of them need you, it makes life easy.